Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. As we are learning that we have to be in gratitude, uh, deep and profound reverence for the gifts received as a way to remove the original bread of shame that the receiver had when the receiver kept getting gifts from the giver incessantly. It was the evaporation of the bread of shame, of the gratitude that the receiver was supposed to give back to the giver. It's that evaporation, that dissipation of the gratitude that caused the shame, first entitlement, and then the shame to grow to the point where the receiver had to contract and became so small it was like a dot. And then when the giver or God realized I could restore everything the way it was, but I will not be able to help remove the shame. And the only way I know how is to do the following. As it touched the receiver back, it exploded it in a gigantic spiritual detonation, creating time, space, or multiverse, and the continuation of this process that the fragments of the receiver are going through, and at the same time manifested an accuser or a resisting force called Satan to test us and make sure that we, the fragment of the receiver, as we try to learn from each other by giving and receiving to each other, it becomes very complicated and very difficult. And the more complicated and the more difficult it is, the better, so that we can remove as much shame as possible, so that we can feel deserving of the light that God or the giver is continually giving to us. Even now, we are the one that feel undeserving, that's not accepting it. Everything that you want, God wants you to have, and more, and better. But it's us. We are the one that are holding it back by saying, no, I have too much shame and too much undeservedness. I feel I have to apply an effort. And the accuser or the Satan consciousness is there to create a resisting force, not a man or with a horn, with a pitchfork and a tail. We're talking about a super intelligent consciousness that's there to resist. Last week I had read from Job, or rather, if I didn't read from Job in this class, Job chapter 1 talks about the fact that God was having a meeting in the heaven with the angels. And during the meeting, Satan was there with the angels. And God asked Satan, what have you been doing? He said, I've been going to and fro on earth and about it and so on and so forth. And then God is the one that brought Job and said, have you seen my servant Job? He is the most righteous, the greatest of all men, and he eschews evil and all that. And Satan said, has he been tested? You favor him. You're giving him all this blessing and you're giving him all these great things. You favor him. Has he been really tested to see if he will still be a man of faith when he's in front of crisis where you lose everything? And God said, don't kill him, but you can test him. And that's the way the test of Job began. And in a way, this is an allegory or an analogy for us. Well, two things. That Satan is not in a pit of fire like we are being told by religious texts. It's actually a being that can walk to the throne room of God. I just want you to understand that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it's actually a tool that God is using to help us remove the bread of shame. So there is a change in our consciousness that needs to happen. Now, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today, I have to bring back an old Kabbalistic concept that I shared with you before, which is called the Zer Hapin. Zer Hapin is in Hebrew translate as the little face of God. It is a version of God that is so diminutive and so small that the average person on the planet can actually swallow it and accept it. in Zer Hapin, symbol for Zer Hapin is the shield of David, the interlaced triangle. But that shield, although it protects people on earth for perceiving a higher perception of God that we are not ready to process, that is so big and so heavy and so complicated that we can't process it. When you're trying to ascend, that shield, because that shield gives you a lot of dogma. It tells you, the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not have no other God but myself, thou shalt not no adultery. There are all these rules, all these laws. So if you're trying to expand your consciousness into a version of God that's not a man with a white beard sitting on a throne passing judgment, when you get to that point, the shield is now a prison. And you have to crack the shield. It becomes a glass ceiling that you have to crack open to emancipate into a higher version of God, the big fist of God, to actually see God as it actually is. And a lot of the exercises I've been giving you so far are going to trigger Zer Hapin for you. So if you're having a moment where you feel depressed, where you feel the imposter syndrome is showing up, or you feel actually you have nightmares, or you feel sick, physically sick, it is connected directly to the Zer Hapin. And I'm going to tell you why. We had talked about the alchemy, the spiritual alchemy we need to do when the imposter shows up, when the dweller on the threshold shows up. We talked about first, you have to listen to what the accuser is saying or the dweller is saying, go deep within yourself, sit with the accusation and understand that the accusations are pointing out only to a fragment of the totality of who you are. It's what doesn't work in you at the moment that makes you undeserving of the light of God. It doesn't mean this is totally who you are. It's not your complete identity fixed and etched in stone. If you are malleable that way, you will be able to accept it and listen to yourself and begin to perceive the false belief, the past actions or inactions that created survival mechanism that tilted your axis and created all these way of you trying to survive. And you're also going to see visibly what is the vertical axis, what is the right way, if I were to deal with this right now, that I should behave like. What is the right attitude? What is the right emotion? What is the right reaction? What is the right action? You will see it, okay? And what you need to do is that you have to apply initially, be merciful and ask God for forgiveness for having been so broken, so human, so imperfect, and ask God for mercy, ask God for forgiveness. And as you do this, the forgiveness will eventually change over time for these pieces of yourself that the accuser is pointing out to, and over time it will change into you accepting the fact that I have parts of myself that are imperfect. You see, the biggest problem for us in the light community, because we aspire to be like angels, like ascended masters, or ascended extraterrestrial beings, blah, 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 etc., think that are so elevated, we literally amputate any part of us that's human, that's flawed. We completely bury it. We ignore it and we bury it under the sand, and we pretend that they are not there. But what the dweller test does is that it shows you that these parts have to be acknowledged. You need to transmute them. This is why the Kundalini cannot rise in you for you to achieve ascension. It's because these parts that are broken needs to be acknowledged and they need to be transmuted. And that's the process of transmutation. First, see it, acknowledge it, see the false belief, the survival mechanism, find the vertical axis, the adjusted, ascended way for you to handle the situation if it were to be presented to you today. Once that is done, then it will transfer into accepting yourself as human, imperfect, a work in progress, something that's in the process of happening. Okay? Then from there will be self-love. You're going to start loving the parts of you. You're going to realize that if I didn't have this brokenness, I wouldn't have empathy. I wouldn't understand humanity in the way I'm understanding now. Because now I'm connecting so deeply to myself, I have now more compassion for people. If I was impatient or I had rage in myself, I understand now when somebody gets angry or gets upset. I'm more compassionate, I'm more understanding, because I have to be compassionate to myself. I have to be understanding. By the way, rage and attack is a loss of control. This is where it's coming from. It's a loss of control and an attempt at gaining it back. This is all survival mechanism. If you have rage inside of you, if you have anger, it's because you get angry because you think you're losing control. And it's your attempt at getting it back. A lot of time, that's the wrong thing to do. The way you gain control back is by letting go. You surrender the whole situation to God, and you let God take over. You let your higher power take over. You don't get enraged because of it. You don't get angry. You do the exact reverse and the exact opposite, right? And that's the ascended way of handling it. Let's realize I'm not in charge, I'm not in control, and more importantly, I am non-attached to this little common detail that are happening on earth. I am not attached to any of it. So what if it disappeared? Like Job. Job lost everything. He was the richest man in the world. He lost everything. All of his 7 children, he lost everything. His wife, he lost everything. And he was non-attached to it. The only thing he was connecting to and attached to was God, his connection to God. And because of this, he gained more back. In the end, by the end of Job, he's gaining everything back because his faith was really tested. So that's the first part. The second part I had asked you about, I told you about, is to begin to work on a gratitude practice. Unlike a lot of other emotions, gratitude can evaporate very quickly. And you can begin to do things out of entitlement. Everything that God, that the universe gives you, everything, your breath, the person who all of a sudden, like yesterday, I was a friend of mine told me, oh, my chiropractor has all these fresh vegetables that they were growing in the garden. I just went to Whole Foods. I got all these fresh greens. Would you accept them? I'm like, of course I would accept them. And the moment that happened, the first thought I went to because I'm doing this practice now, I'm like, God, you're sending me the right nutrition that I need. It's coming from Lakshmi. It's coming from the abundance of the universe. They're organically grown in a garden. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. It's not just money. It's everything that there is. It's your health. It's your happiness. It's your joy. It's the friendships that you have. And sometimes it's even the enemies that you have. Because the enemies that you have, the people who are attacking you, teach you probably the greatest lesson that you need to learn in order for you to grow. The people who are attacking you are your greatest teachers, because they force you to go out of your comfort zone. And
100%.
Yes, and you have deep and profound gratitude for them. Say thank you to the universe for having them in my life, because without them, that whole entire part of my reaction would have been blocked for me. I would have not have seen it, right? And so we need to be very aware of this and be very aware that every aspect of our life. And I repeat it as much as I told you, I do it as a walking meditation. Before I go to sleep, that's what I'm repeating all the time. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received over and over and over again. when I'm in the train, when I'm walking, going to the grocery store, when I'm doing my daily walk, deep and profound. When I'm sitting down and meditating, I repeat that before I start my breath control, and then I do my breath control. I do the torsion field. I do the other work that I'm doing. But I'm basing everything on an understanding of having a consciousness of gratitude. Now, having said all of this, you can be extremely grateful for everything that you have and still feel that you're undeserving of the love of God. Okay? And the other insight that came in, and this is where the Zer Hapin is immense. The other insight that came in is the following. You and I and all of us who are originally aspects of the receiver, we are actually indivisible from God. Which means what? It means you cannot insert a piece of paper between me and God. And we are all indivisible from Him. In fact, the fact that the receiver had the bread of shame and the physical universe was manifested, the fact that you feel so undeserving now that the dweller on the threshold is coming in and you have to do all this work to remove, to transmute all of that are all simultaneously true. Let's go in and focus on the details. The idea, because before that there was no time, there was no space. Before, when the giver and the receiver existed only. Now that we have time and space, and we are fragmented into pieces, we are nothing more than unconscious tendencies focused in emptiness. And that emptiness has a linear timeline where a second ago my hand was this way and now my hand is on front. We are fixed point of consciousness in this. If we were infinite, we would have understood all of it all at once. But we can't anymore because we're now so small and so fragmented. We're understanding time a little bit at the time, like Pac-Man. We're grabbing one ball at a time. This is the way we understand time, and we can only go forward. We understand we're like Pac-Man. We're going forward, and we can only understand linearly. But in truth, our original identity as God was the infinite desire to receive. We were the infinite desire to give. We were the infinite desire to receive. As infinite being in originality, as we were originally, there is no linear time. Everything happens simultaneously, and we are all of these things at the same time. Let me explain. Although it is true that we have shame and undeservedness, okay? It is also true that the Satan is testing us to help us remove that. And we are doing hard work to remove it by transmutation, by looking at our flaws and our false access, the traumas, the survival mechanism, and all of that, and so on and so forth, etc., etc. We are also, if you evolve in time, we are also the being that's in gratitude. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. Just by saying that sentence creates an expansion, an opening, and a release in your consciousness and in you. So you are the person that's disempowered, that the accuser is saying you're undeserving of growth, of evolution. You're also at the same time the being who is saying to the giver, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. but you're also the being, and this is the ultimate Zer Hapin, the ultimate Zer Hapin, saying, I am indivisible from God. Think about it for a second. If originally only the giver existed, nothing else, there was nothing that was outside of it, everything else that happened subsequent to that, creating an infinite desire to receive. Where did that infinite desire to receive came in? From the original giver, infinite, the giver. There was no outside for him to pull and manifest this. It came from itself. Therefore, if I am the infinite desire to receive, I am indivisible. I am indivisible from the giver. And that is the ultimate truth. That's the original covenant with God. That's the ultimate truth. Now, as a disempowered 3D being, that's going to be complicated for all of us to try to get back to. And that's what I want this class to focus on. It's going to be complicated because I have to navigate multiple states of consciousness in linear time. I cannot accept the fact that I am facing Zer Hapin right now, not Zer Hapin, I'm facing the dweller right now and the accuser. How can I at the same time be a being that is indivisible from God? To a consciousness that's infinite, all of them are happening at the same time. There is no such thing as a separation between one has to happen and then several million years has to happen and the next one. It doesn't exist because time is an illusion. It's a construct that was created so that our consciousness can learn. It's a dream. It's a dream. Time and space or dreamscape created so that consciousness can learn, can evolve, can grow, can let go of things. And the biggest thing it's going to create for all of us, particularly as you keep repeating, like if you're repeating all the time, deep and profound reverence for the gift received over and over again. And then after that, start repeating to yourself, I am indivisible from God. And by the way, it doesn't have to be, because to many of us, and this is more Zer Hapin, for many of us, God as a concept, particularly if you grew up a certain way in the church or the clergy and you saw abuse, a lot of people don't, God is not holy for them. They see it as a trauma-based environment, organized religion. So to some people, source is what they are indivisible, that they see as their highest power. To other people, it's Mother Gaia, it's the goddess. To other people, it will be infinity times infinity. To others, it will be the blessed field. It's not relevant. Because all of them are simultaneously true. The nomenclature, how you call it, how you express it, is all connected to consciousness processing trauma. But the ultimate identity and consciousness is a multi-dimensional, it's a collective awareness. It's not an awareness of one linear point in time with one identity. It's a collective awareness of everything that there is all at once. And if that is the case, it's a gigantic gulp to swallow. And when you're saying and repeating to yourself, I am indivisible from God, over and over again, I am indivisible from God, what's going to happen is that it's going to trigger major Zer Hapin. There's a gigantic glass ceiling you have to break in your consciousness to adjust your mind to saying, I was a singularity of consciousness, a fixed point, holding myself in one position. Now I have to accept the fact that I am the whole thing all at once. Because if I am indivisible from God, I am the giver and I am the receiver at the same time. and I am everything that there is. And therefore, there can be no lack anymore in my life. For many of us who grew up in the church, who grew up, who've been domesticated by religious upbringing, or for that matter, readings that you've done in the past, or connection you've done, channeling you've received, all of them are saying the opposite, that you are a linear person existing under the blessing and the grace of a benevolent entity. What I'm saying is that you are the benevolent entity. And the Bible said it. Ye are God, but know it not. Ye are God, but know it not. But it's the ultimate Zer Hapin. It's the ultimate face of God. And for that to happen, there's going to be all kinds of, some of you will have bad dreams. Some of you will be extremely money. You will face even deeper accusation from the dweller. Some of you will become physically sick, disease, or not disease, but nausea, weirdness. What kind of weirdness? Not feeling okay, like feeling like your core is constricted, feeling unease, feeling I don't know what's going on. It's you, because all of these old belief systems that you had have to die. You have to go to multiple ego death. You have to surrender all of these false beliefs to accept a new belief that I am indivisible from God, or I am indivisible from Source, or from the Blessed Field, or from that the Father. Jesus said it. The Father and I are one. So we need to, I want to make you aware of this, because if you are having struggles since the last class and you feel kind of unease and all of these things that were not, that you can't process correctly, it's connected directly to that. Any questions, any comments?
I do have a question here about what you're saying now, but also but what you said at the last class that I've been puzzling over, and I'm not sure I understood it well. In the last session, you said people who are constantly saying thank you to God, but do not have that deep and profound reverence, are, I don't know what the words you used were, but it sort of negates that gratitude in some way. Um, I, I'm I've been wondering if when I say for every little thing that I feel has come from God, thank you for that gift, then I shouldn't say that because I don't have this deep and profound reverence feeling indivisible from God. Do I stop saying that? But it's okay to say deep and profound reverence for the gifts received, but not thank you for the gifts received. I'm a little confused,
No.
I guess.
Okay, let's not get caught up in the details. Okay, so what I meant to say, let me explain. That I know a lot of people who are saying thank you to God all the time, but it's lip service. They are not in their core, because of the Zer Hapin of their religious upbringing. In their core, they feel truly shameful and undeserving of a direct connection with God. Because when you say, for example, I am indivisible from God, what I'm asking you, what this is asking you to do, you have to become so intimate with God, and your faith and your connection is like one with your soulmate. God becomes your soulmate, your best lover. And it's so intimate and so personal that you know God is with you and has your back all the time, 100% of the time. Many people who are saying thank you all the time thank you to God and I have gratitude and all that. They don't have that faith. That's what I'm trying to point out to. That by repeating this idea, I am indivisible from God, is to emancipate and grow in faith that God is your support and God has never left you, and that you're not alone, and that you have an intimate connection with that God, and it is not something that can be separated by anything. In addition to being, because of this, you're in deep and profound reverence for all the gift you continue to receive. Does that help clarify it, Janice?
Um, I'm struggling still a little bit. Then one should not say thank you for this gift.
Yes, yes,
Just
you can
receive.
say it. Yes, yes, you should say it. Yes,
Even if you don't feel that
yes,
connection that you
yes,
speak of, it's still okay to say that.
yes, yes, absolutely. Dr. Stone used to say to me all the time, fake it until you make it.
Mm.
Okay? You fake it until you make it.
Hmm.
The idea of actually bringing in the next level, the ultimate the first covenant with God, which is to realize that you are so close to God that you're indivisible from Him, is to have that intimate faith with Him. That's something that's very advanced, extremely advanced. And a lot of people in the evangelical environment have that connection, because they are praying to God all the time. And over time, they repeat, and all of a sudden a door opens up and they are intimately connected.
Janice, you get little moments of it. I'm sure you also experience it. Maybe you just don't pinpoint it at the same time. There are these moments where you sit and this feeling floods you, this incredible gratitude for everything that you have in the simplest moments, and nothing big happens. I don't know, like you're at a seaside and you're watching the sunset, and this incredible feeling of gratitude fills you up, and you feel one with God and Goddess. That's the kind of thing I think Pierre is talking about. It's just this incredible gratitude fills you up that is undescribable, and this deep connection to God. I think that's what you're talking about, right, Pierre?
Yes.
Yes. But it doesn't happen all the time, so you don't have to keep seeking that to thank God. You keep thanking God and the Goddess, but when you have those moments, and that feeling of gratitude comes from deep within, and you feel deeply connected, then you should probably also thank. I thank a million times when that feeling comes. I'm just like in so much gratitude that I tear up sometimes too, because it's just this incredible connection and this incredible gratefulness for everything that I have. And it's like the simplest thing sometimes. So yeah, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Janice, I will add to that. Think of the connection I'm trying to have you establish is that, because I know so many of my clients and students who are grateful all the time, and they're saying they are grateful, but they feel so separated from God, so that God is so far away, inaccessible to them, when in fact it is not true. They never left God. No one ever left God. We're all dreaming that we did. And that inaccessibility is solely connected to their own consciousness. And the way you overcome it, again, you repeat over and over again, I am indivisible from God, and you fake it until you make it, and ultimately what's going to happen, you're going to begin to realize that if that statement is true, maybe for now it's an intellectual thing, but if that statement is true, over time you're going to begin to feel it. It's like saying any of the affirmation that I've given you, whether it was the personal power or the mighty I am presence, you say it the first few times for a week or a week and a half, it feels like you're reading some sort of text. And at some point, one of them, you say it and it resonates. Your whole body starts shaking and you begin to feel it. And it gets to a point where you're beginning to feel that I am indivisible from that first cause. I am absolutely indivisible. And I am supported by it. You're right, Melton, and all of us at the moment we get connected to it, but we lose the connection.
Yeah, yeah, and we're human. But also, I mean, you start seeing the signs like everywhere. God is in every corner. God is, and we are actually so much more supported than we think.
Yes.
Once you start realizing that, once you see it in every corner and in every step, something happens to you, but then you realize in the other corner, there's a blessing in disguise, like you say sometimes. You used to say, you know, our difficulties are the golden nuggets of wisdom that we actually need.
Yes.
They're our greatest teachers, just like you just said. And it's true, all of a sudden, when you start to shift the consciousness, you start seeing God and the support and the angels in every corner, and they're always there to support us, especially for those of us who I truly believe this, who came here for a specific purpose. We are extra supported, actually. So, so once you start understanding that and seeing in every little corner that we are supported, that even if something happens to you, the landing is much less than it could have happened because we're doing the work, and I truly believe that. Then you start to delve deeper into this feeling of gratitude that you are, you know, we are incredibly supported and loved, and we are one with God and the Goddess.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the faith over time evolves, it grows. The faith is
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, the understanding I had 10 years ago and the understanding I have now is just like, you know, day and night. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so Janice, it eventually expands slowly but surely. It expands. You begin to see and feel and understand. My God, yes, I am supported. You begin to see I am closer to the creative principle. I am not some sort of like deformed thing. I'm not Quasimodo sitting in a corner saying I have feelings too, but I am actually a favorite of God.
Exactly.
It's not that I have not ever felt that. I do have deep connections with God. Uh, Sometimes it's through music.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's through performance of music that is the deepest
Mhm.
connection that shakes you to the core of but my confusion was just about saying thanks when you're not in that connected state. So do it just because
Just
it's
do
going
it
to
just the same. Do it
yeah,
just the same. Keep
yes.
doing it. Keep doing it. And what happened is that eventually it will become a permanent bridge. The gratitude is the bridge that will take you to that ultimate identity, but it's going to create Zer Hapin. It's going to create what appears at the moment like crisis because your old dogma have to die. Your old identity, who you thought you were, you focus as a singularity of a point, a fixed point in space. These things are going to have to drop, and they have all kinds of things that are attached to them. Relationships, they have stories that you told yourself, they have justification, they have all kinds of things that are connected to
Oh
them.
yeah. In homeopathy, we have this whole thing, bioresonance core. I mean, you know, these false beliefs and core fears can be dealt with in many different ways.
Yes.
And we use actually homeopathic remedies to help us um, remove these core false beliefs and systems in a faster manner, because a lot of times they're stuck, right? It's hard to, you know, you have to sit in a dantian for, I don't know, days to sometimes dig out some of this stuff. But the homeopathic remedies and the bioresonance machine actually helps you deal with these faster. Basically, it's a faster way to experience this ego death and the false beliefs. So lately I've had about 3 core bioresonance treatments, and it's just crazy how and then they also tell you the core belief that comes up with the remedies that you start taking. And it's just so funny. I mean, some things are, yes, you're like, oh yeah, that totally. And then some of them are like, what? It's so interesting the things that we get stuck with, and they, like you say, they start in our subconscious, create this loop that keeps going and going and play in the background, and you're not even aware of it.
Yep.
A lot of the times. Some things you're like, oh yeah, that totally sounds like what I'm going through, and I am aware of it. But sometimes it's something so deep and so strange that you would have never even thought about it. So I've had 3 of these treatments last few weeks, like you're saying, because we started doing this work, and yeah, the false beliefs and the core fears are just funny thing that really hold us back. And once we start to free ourselves and start experiencing that ego death step by step, and there are so many layers to it, it's a pretty enlightening experience. I mean, there's so many layers to it is what I'm trying to get. It's just like one layer to another layer, and something else comes up, and it's just like, wow.
It's the magician that's pulling the handkerchief out of his pocket.
It's unbelievable. But the more layers you remove, the more light enters. It's just this incredible openness that comes afterwards. You're like, wow,
Yep.
what was holding me back? So it's just, yeah, it's a hard thing. Ego death is hard,
Yes.
but it's also a beautiful thing. And sometimes you have to let go of things that you thought you were, and identities and everything else that no longer serve you. And yeah, it's hard sometimes.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
The other thing I think about is, just the intimacy of everything, life. And I think about it, and it's a consciousness around it. But I have had an increased consciousness around it through various types of health challenges. And this is what I mean. It's like, just the whole act of breathing. I mean, that's life, and our connection to life and God, but our consciousness, we just take it for granted, as long as it's not a problem. As long as we can breathe fine and, we're good. But then if there's a challenge, we realize how intimate that act of breathing is, and how critical it is to our essence and our being here on this earth. And I noticed, like a year or so ago, I was having some challenges swallowing. And, I never thought about what goes into the act of swallowing, and how the muscles interact, and how this pipe has to close off and that one has to open, and how it has to be coordinated. And it's the whole act of just being is so intimate. And that's the part I think that I would think that a part of what you're talking about, Pierre, is how intimate and how inseparable this is in us, and our connection to life, to God, and how you can't really, while I think that we want to make sense out of it in our brain, and therefore we separate it out. But in essence, there is no separation. And I understand, though, we don't, it's a whole process to kind of begin to at least embrace that. And I'm not saying wrap your arms around, I'm just saying to even kind of begin to glimpse that type of intimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, though, Pierre, I guess over the last month or so, and it doesn't happen often, but I have noticed it 2 or 3 times. In a dream, I am as if I am on 2 different planes at the same time, because there are 2 different dreams going on at the same time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm watching 2 movies, 2 separate movies,
Mm-hmm.
and there are different things happening in each, but it's happening all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I've noticed that about 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I mean,
Go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
No. That's about it. I mean, I could say more, but that's it. You know, it happens in a dream, and it's as if there are 2 movies playing in the dream, 2 different movies playing at the same time.
Yeah. So you're already experiencing your multi-dimensional existence. That time is not a singularity, a fixed point that is focused. Because when we're dreaming, Carlos Castaneda used to say in his writing, the teaching of Don Juan, that between our shoulder blade, which is the upper heart for us, there's a ball of light that he calls the assemblage point. We call it the upper heart. And he says that when we are awake, it is a fixed point that is immovable. And we are like in a dream, but except all of us have agreed on the same frequency and the same vibration subconsciously, and we're all dreaming together. But when you go to sleep, that point that's fixed starts moving. And that ball of light is like a gyroscope. It can go in every direction. And every direction that it moves into has a different dimension or different reality. So a lot of his teaching was about the art of dreaming. And when you dream and you have multiple dreams like that, you're seeing parallel worlds, but you're experiencing them simultaneously. You're beginning to realize, and this is what I was saying before about the idea that to evolve and go to 4D, 5D, which is where we're going, which is what we're attempting, ascending into 5D. You have to let go of the 3D on a singular point in time. And now in your dream, what you're experiencing is that you're seeing your multiple things at the same time, multiple places at the same time. The way I experienced this for me was with my clients. They would be telling me a story, and as they were telling me with their story, their narrative, and their crisis and their burden, I would see 3 or 4 things showing up at the same time as the root cause of what they're going through.
Mm.
And so you're seeing it in your dreams, and it's beginning to, I call this it's like a fan that opens up around you, and you're seeing multiple things, all of it happening at the same time, and all of them equally true.
Yeah.
This is the perception of the celestial being that's letting go. So that means that there's a glass ceiling that's breaking up for you, and you're seeing beyond the veil. Something else is emerging and coming for you, which is a good thing. Now, the second part when you were talking about the first part when you were talking about intimacy and intimacy with God and with however you're perceiving, that intimacy is the key, because a lot of time we don't realize the interdependence, that all things are interconnected and nothing is really separated. Nothing is separated. We don't perceive it. Because again, we exist as a singularity of consciousness, a point that's fixed in one area, like the infinite receiver shrinking down into a dot. We are that little dot. And that's the consciousness we're holding. Instead of seeing ourselves being endless, no beginning, no end. And this is it has to be a gradual release, because if you go from the dot and all of a sudden you try to accept this big identity, it can become, it create crisis.
Yeah.
It will create crisis because you won't be able to accept it. It has to happen gradually and slowly, and you're going to end up having certain kind of. I like the fact that you talk about the health challenges, because I'll be honest with you. When you have these health challenges, whether it is you're talking about just the breathing or the swallowing or things that are very simple, the reason for the health challenges are simple. It's not a biological or physiological thing that's happening in your body. The real reason, you're disconnected to light. You're disconnected to you as an indivisible part of source. That's the real reason.
Pain is the place where light enters you. Those are our greatest teachers, and we believe
Yes.
that in homeopathy too. So when
Yes.
there's something that with a lot of remedies that don't go away,
Yeah.
that we believe that it's a core issue, like a core belief or a core fear. And then we dive into that bioresonance thing. We match the remedies at a deeper level, which is what you need to do. For you, you would sit down and listen to the pain.
Yes.
And go to the dantian and sit with it and see what core fear or conflict that is holding you back, and that from that, once you release that, you will more light will enter you. So
Yeah.
those are actually great teachers, those pains.
I've said this to you last time, and I'm going to repeat it again, that when you're facing some sort of a health crisis of any kind, the adjustment in consciousness that you need to do, of course, you have to go to your doctors and do all of your stuff that are necessary. I'm always the one telling all my clients, you need to do this immediately, right? You need to do all the things that are necessary. But in addition to that, since this is my expertise, you need to adjust your consciousness and realize whatever prognosis that you have, whatever they're telling you, if you believe the prognosis word for word, you're sunk. You need to understand. You need to understand that at a deeper core level, it's you're disconnected to that original identity of being indivisible. It's the separation that's making you ill.
Yep. And it's a core belief or a core fear that is within it. Yeah, exactly. Something that is not true.
Yeah. It's something that's false. It's what I call a false axis, or
exactly.
trauma of some kind. And so it's to restore that. That's the key. And sometimes I spend months and months trying to explain this to my clients. For a lot of them, they still feel the disconnection. They feel, I am so far away from that idea. It's not that they don't have a concept in God. They have a concept in God, but they feel disconnected to it. So what I'm encouraging you to do with this idea and the concept of saying and repeating, I am indivisible from God, is to connect and recreate that intimacy, recreate that connection so that you can be linked back and understand that's who you are. And when that happens, you become a perfect conduit for the Melchizedek energy. Because Melchizedek is the first lens. When the giver connected back to the strength receiver and was about to manifest the universe, the lens through which that God used to manifest the universe was Melchizedek. And so it's through that lens that we have to go back into God. So when we are doing all of this, it's a way for us to stand, and I'm going to use what I heard in the channeling, it's not my words, stand in spiritual rectitude and verticality. Because a lot of time we're not vertical. We're tilted to the side. We're slightly crooked. We're bent over. The axis is not straight because we have all these false beliefs, all these trauma, all these fears, but to stand vertically and to say to yourself, I am indivisible from that principle. And therefore, everything is my life is aligned. Everything is connected. Everything is as it should be.
And when you get those moments of deep connection and you feel huge, like you say too. And when you do things while feeling that way, there's incredible magic happens. I mean, people
Absolutely.
come out and they're like, what was that?
Yep.
People feel it, and it's just literally they feel your grandness
Yeah.
because you are deeply connected. So yeah, it's a pretty magical experience.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And so when we feel the disconnection in any ways, because if you are truly indivisible, there is no lack of whatever kind. And however, and by the way, whatever the health challenge is, or however it's showing up for you, aside from following your doctors and the advice that you're giving from your health practitioner, the spiritual component is for you to understand the false belief that you're holding that's keeping you separated from there.
100%. That's the key.
Yeah. What is the false belief that you have that's making you feel that I'm undeserving of that connection? Now, I'm going to say something that's current at this today. There's so much chaos happening with the capital C of what was just climate change alone, political, social stuff, tariff, you name it. There's so many things that are so big that are keeping you distracted, you and I distracted, including me. This is why I don't watch any news, any political news whatsoever. I don't want it.
Exactly.
I cannot avoid it because I don't exist in a vacuum. Somebody, a friend, somebody will mention something and I will hear something. Okay? And I want to keep informed, generally speaking. So I watch YouTube clips and I see the thumbnails. And the thumbnail is enough to give me some information, and that's all I need. I don't need to go
Exactly.
deep. I don't need to go deep inside of it because as an empath, I'm going to pick up all kinds of things, and this is going to keep me further and further away from me being indivisible from God.
Yeah, definitely.
So the kind of food that you're feeding yourself, the kind of books, the kind of news media, the kind of stuff that you're consuming, that you're reading on the internet, etc., is going to either connect you to God. And as a matter of fact, one of the things I tell my clients who are going through whatever crisis that they're going through health-wise or any otherwise, if you're in an acute condition where you're going through a crisis, you need to feed your consciousness the right food. That means no negative individual, no negative people, no negative news. Keep yourself. It's like you're on a retreat in a mountain by yourself and you're trying to purify your consciousness. Think of yourself in an inaccessible mountaintop somewhere in Bhutan or Nepal. And that's where you are, and that's where you have to keep your consciousness light. The negative people, the negative news, when somebody talks about somebody is gossiping, walk away. When somebody, keep your consciousness clean. The cleaner and the simpler you keep it and keep yourself for depressing thought, depressing idea. If music is this thing that's elevate, you play the music. If incense or essential oils or aromatherapy is what helps you, do that and elevate yourself and keep yourself connected as much as possible to restore the connection, to restore the verticality. And once the verticality is restored and you're connected again, you feel that you're back home again. I have to tell you, I'm being honest with you, is that prior to the lockdown in March of 2020, I was living a very magical life. Once the lockdown happened, it changed something in me. It changed something deep in me, and it caused for me all kinds of things to unravel because it put me back into survival. Whereas before I was living surrendered into the flow of the universe. I was not in survival. I was completely surrendered into the flow that the universe was giving to me. And all kinds of magical things were happening one after the other. And the moment that happened, it just unwrapped. All kinds of things began to derail for me. And I've shared this with the other class. And also for me, the North Node, what in Vedic astrology they call Rahu, was squared on top of my my Saturn is my ruling planet, was on top of my sign. And it means that I was getting all of these challenges. And for 4 years, I was getting bombarded with all kinds of, it wasn't a permanent challenge all the time. It wasn't chaos, but it was enough to make me disconnected, or rather not connected all the time to that alignment that I used to have on a regular basis, let's say more than 50% of the time, because I felt like I was living a magical life. Now, having said this, those experiences now have brought me connected in a completely different way, where the connection is stronger, more palpable, and with more certainty because of the past challenges. So whatever they created for me, again, I didn't say created to me, they didn't hurt me, it was for my benefit. Whatever they created for me ended up helping me to go deeper and deeper and deeper, a depth that I would have never had if everything was coasting and everything was going at least normal kind of average way for me. Because I felt a dip, and I felt confusion. I felt like I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why all these things are happening to me, blah, blah, blah. And in that moment, I go back into it. I'm like, okay, I'm back there. Okay, terrific. And then it goes back again. And the peaks and the valleys, and now I am getting a deeper understanding, a deeper connection that I'm sharing with you now, that the ultimate Zer Hapin, the ultimate glass ceiling that needs to be broken, is to know that you're indivisible from God. You're completely indivisible from God. And that's the original agreement or covenant that we have with God, because nothing exists outside of God. And I've shared this with you before, and I've said it multiple times in the past. We never fell. The fall is a dream. And at some point, when we go back into the bosom of God and reconnect again, we will realize we were dreaming. We never left the bosom of God. And so it's important for us to, again, it's kind of as a trick. And I like the way Esther was talking about having two dreams that are happening simultaneously. For me, the way it happened for me, and this is a 4D perception, by the way. For me, the way it happens, for me, it was because my ability is listening, is that when somebody's telling me their burden, sometimes 3 or 4 things as the cause of their drama, as I'm listening to them, sometimes it can go up to 8. I see 8 things happening simultaneously. All of them are true. And you begin to realize that time is not linear. The causality of things, this idea or the one cause, one effect, it's untrue. It's completely untrue. And then in the course of my conversation with my clients and my students, I have to figure out of all of these things, what do I tell the individual? Do I tell all 8 of them? Most likely not. But I can tell them, because they're going to get confused. What do you mean? All 8 things are true at the same? I don't understand. And I'm going to have to explain too many things. So I ask Spirit to help me connect with the core things that I need. Sometimes I tell them 2 things, sometimes up to 3, as the stuff that needs to be focused on to help heal and repair them and bring them back to where they need to be. So and the final thing that I want to mention before we go on we're going to break and then do a closing meditation. Of course, you're going to dream. You might have uncomfortable dream and nightmare that are connected to the Zer Hapin, as these ego death and these glass ceilings are shattered. But your dreams also will connect you to the inner plane. let me explain. When you're trying to ascend, and it's a real effort, and the dweller is showing up in front of you, and you're confronted by these things, and it's real. In the inner plane, the ascended masters that are overlighting the work, meaning Melchizedek and his initiate, and all of the ascended masters that are supporting this effort, are also working on you 24 hours a day. It's not just the class. That work continues when you're doing other things. When you have a moment of reverie or contemplation, they're still working on you, inspiring you, and trying to point out to you, that's where you're supposed to focus on this. That's the root cause of this. This is the false axis that you believed in. This is the Zer Hapin. You need to transmute this. You need to, and my point is that you're gonna start dreaming and having dreams where you are in the inner plane. So watch your dreams. You're going to see yourself in an environment. It might be a classroom. It might be a gathering of people where you're being instructed with some things. You're going to feel very familiar with the people that are around you. For me, because I've been going to that place for so long now, I begin to become lucid because I go back to the same place, the same rooms, the same library, the same. There's a campus, there's greenery, there's beautiful plants, there's a bazaar, there are all kinds of things that are happening in there. And I go back to the same place. So you're going to have dreams where you're going to see instruction being given to you. Now, when you wake up, you may not remember the instructions, but you're going to feel like the individuals that you're with, you know them extremely well. And you seem to be very intimate with them. You seem to know them intimately. And you
Yeah, this started happening to me, but I was so upset that I couldn't remember the instructions. No, really. I was like, no, because it was like this oracle kind of a person, and I just couldn't remember anything she said.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. The instruction went in. It went in. But
I think so too.
But the idea is that it's so deep, it will percolate. It will eventually precipitate out.
Yeah.
So they're working on you 24 hours a day. In your sleep, they're going to show up. And then when you see this, and also remember in your dream, if you're traveling horizontally, but sometimes you're in the train, you're on the bus, or you're driving, if you're going horizontally, you're going to a parallel reality. But when you climb, you're in an elevator, or you're going up a stairs, or you're going up a mountain, or you're descending, you're changing dimensions. Okay, I just want to mention that to you so that you can orient yourself in your dream. And you're going to realize as you go second time, third time, it seemed to be, at least for me, what happened to me is that when I'm there by the third time, I'm like, wait a minute, I've been here before. I'm lucid. This is a lucid dream. I'm in the inner plane. I'm in the inner plane. I've gone back there. I know this place. So be aware of this. And sometimes I see multiple buildings that I keep going through. And these buildings are not a classroom. It seems like it's my home, but it doesn't look like anything I have on earth. And I remember initially there was it looked like it was an apartment building, and it was very disheveled. It had a lot of renovation to be done. As an architect, I'm seeing myself trying to do repairing and fixing this. And one day I showed up, it was beautiful. It was like everything, and those are very encouraging. You're telling me that the inner structure in my core, that all these handkerchiefs that I've been pulling out, all of these healing that I've been doing on myself to heal and repair the dentien, they are successful. Because when you're seeing the environment change and transform for the better, it's telling you that it is in the right place. I remember one time I got to the rooftop of this place, And there were so many stairways and mazes, and I couldn't figure out, orient myself. And I got to a place where I saw a penthouse that had a beautiful greenhouse and a garden all around it, the rooftop. It was stunning. And I remember thinking to myself, what a beautiful place. And for the first time, I saw the front of the building, because I was always in the hallways, mid renovation. And I finally saw the front, and the front was beautiful. So be aware of this. Be aware that you might see yourself at different states of in your dreams of connection with the inner plane, or seeing your own inner structure, or the bridge that you're trying to connect, but your own antakarana and bridge you're trying to create back to God as being indivisible from God or from Goddess.
Mhm.
Any other questions or
Yeah.
comments?
Well, yeah, a couple of times they'll appear in a dream. It's like I'm on this. I mean, it's a lot of lush green all over the place, but it's not on a level plane. It goes up, down, and I'm on this tall. It seems like a tall rock, a mountain.
Mhm.
And then when I realize that I'm so far up there, it becomes a little unnerving,
Mhm. Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yes, yes,
And then it's like I'm not that comfortable there yet.
yes, yes. It means that you get an elevation or peak at your true nature, and then some part of you is uncomfortable with it, saying, "Whoa, it's too high."
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any other comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll do the closing meditation. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. 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 I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The Father, Mother, and I are one. Ye are God, but know it not. deep and profound reverence for the gifts received. I am indivisible from God. I am indivisible from infinity times infinity. I am indivisible from the blessed field. I am indivisible from my benefactor. in the vast continents. I am at rest. I am unburdened. And I release all attachments, fears, and control. In the stillness and rest of God, I accept my ultimate identity. I am one with Him. And I am not alone. I am indivisible from God. And I exist in spiritual rectitude and verticality, aligned to endless flow, perpetual renewal, and immortality in all aspects of my life. I am blessed. I am favored. I am anointed. And I am one with my benefactor. as I expand into the collective awareness of all my timelines, may the peace, the serenity, the liberation, and the ascension that I know pass on to everyone in my circle of influence. Let me add my light to your light. Let there be peace on earth. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How are you all feeling?
Thank you, Pierre. That was quite peaceful.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pierre.
You're all welcome. You're all welcome. Thank you all for your support on Patreon. And I'm going to share this with your friends if you can. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next week. Keep up the good work. We're on our way, friends. Keep up the good work.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.